Welcome back to episode 3 of the Patterns Beyond Lo-Fi podcast. Um,
Third
and
installment.
what's that?
It's the third installment.
Third installment.
Yeah. I think it was volume 1, episode 2, third installment.
yeah. There is a sequence, and then there is also there are 2 levels of patterns here. This is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, 3 actually. And then some. So yeah. And we're 3 today. So
it's true.
Yeah, Alfonso, Mackenzie, and myself, Emmanuel. So welcome everybody. So
All
what do we
right.
have now?
What do we have to get things
start?
started? Yeah. So.
Oh, hang on. First, I wanted to talk about the sample pack.
Ooh.
So, yeah, we almost forgot, but so we are going to release a sample pack. There's going to be keys because there's going to be drums, sounds like samples, bass, a lot of things. So stay tuned. It's going to be in a few days. We don't have the date right now, but it's going to be in a few days. And anyway, if you follow our page on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, you get the news. So don't forget to subscribe and like, of course, comment. Please share the video and so on. You know, like, comment, subscribe, stuff. So
hit every button that you can that will find your way back to us.
Oh, and the bell.
And the bell.
Yeah, ring my
notifications.
Bell. Yeah. You can ring my bell. Oh, maybe it's copyright.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. No.
It did not.
Yeah.
Off to a great start.
Cool. Right on. So I've got the playlist open here, and at the top of the list is Stan Folds, and the track is called On the Bright Side.
All right.
Are you guys good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit it.
Hmm, that was cool.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
simple track.
very lo-fi, like canon of lo-fi kind of.
I feel
Yeah,
like it's on the drums. It's this type of I'll say lo-fi that I don't ever explore myself because it just sounds like not compressed drum kit. You know, like I the whole time could hear what would happen if you dropped a single compressor on that, and how it would kind of elevate everything and make everything a bit more present. But because the drums were so like really in the background, it felt, and it goes without saying, like this isn't necessarily criticism, but it felt like a not deliberate choice, you know, like a not deliberate thing, just more like they produce the drums and they're like, oh, this is cool. The drum beat is like groovy because it does like flow in that way. But I think it could use a bit of compression to make it like really kind of pop a little bit more, or to really play on that like bounce that they're, you know, trying to create there with the beat.
Yeah, Alfonso, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I kind of feel the same actually. I was going to say, like, I thought, especially towards the end there, like, it just sounded a bit more like there might have been, I thought there might have been something wrong with my headphones, like, because of like that same, like, the, just the drums, yeah, they're just like that punch really, man. But like, I really do like the piano, man. Like,
Hmm.
that was
Piano
sick.
was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very clear, like the several parts, and for each part, they added a small element, a small variation. The drums kind of remain the same. Like it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Like it's very simple, and simple is good. It sounded also very band-like. Like everything was performed like on the key on the keyboard, on the bass. There was I really liked the part when the bass kind of came and the mid highs. It was very unassuming. Probably I want to say yeah, kind of light when it comes to mixing. But overall, it was still quite a pleasant experience, like more
Hmm.
than you would expect. Like the first part, at some point, you're like, oh, this is not evolving. It's going to take long. If I have something like, I would definitely appreciate smoother transitions, you know,
Hmm.
between the parts. Maybe a cut, maybe a break, maybe a drum roll, something like that. I think Mackenzie in the previous episodes, you were talking about like all cut, all off, like something like that, you know, and just to yeah to bring some life even within the parts. Have some kind of break, some kind of remove the snare, maybe here, remove the kick, remove the hats, a few things, but overall, yeah, it was more pleasant than I was originally expecting. But at the same time, like we have 3 minutes or so. It's a little bit long. Like
Well, it's a bit long for the evolution of it, right?
yeah,
You know, if like at some point halfway when it kind of dropped back into the drums, I would have loved to hear like a little whip, 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 you know, like some sort of little like
yeah,
lead synth line, or some sort of just like some sort of lead melody to kind of evolve the storyline a little bit.
yeah.
Because with just the piano, it's like it falls more into almost like an ambient track. But if there was like just a little lead
Yeah.
line on something, it doesn't have to be anything in your face. It could be just a Glock. You know, like I find piano and Glock are like the perfect combo. And to do a Glock, it almost accentuates the piano,
There
even
was
if
one.
you. Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like it wasn't doing
yeah,
a lead
yeah,
line. It wasn't, you know,
yeah.
kind of contributing that way. And also on the topic of transitions, there were a couple points as well that I would have loved, like, you know, this, and I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as like lo-fi hip hop as we know it, but if Stan Folds, if you are listening to this and you wanted to, I guess, characterize it more in that way, um, I find like even if there was one little like vocal sample, like just a quick a cappella one shot of someone saying like, you know, I like to use like someone going like what, or like
Listen.
listen, or yeah, exactly, you know, one little vocal one shot at a transition, it just it's, you know, you've got the dimensions of rhythm and melody down because those are there, but the textural dimension in that sense, like using samples or like transitioning, or I guess kind of accentuating the fact that it's being done in a way that is digital in some sense, it's electronic in some sense, and that you have that option to include those. Adding that third dimension really elaborates on the story. You know, 3 dimensions will tell a deeper story than 2 dimensions will, essentially. But all that being said, still a really great track. None of this is like, it should be this way, but more so, I guess, like what my ear would expect, or what our ears, I guess, would expect when listening to it.
It does sound very much like someone who's used to playing a band and is trying to kind of put together a song on a computer. So they would play the key, maybe they have a bass, you know, somewhere. So they play the bass, and maybe what can I add? And they play kind of realistic-ish drums. And it falls together quite nicely, but you can hear some kind of, you know, maybe lack of experience when it comes to, you know, the mixing, compressing the transitions. But yeah, it's encouraging. That's I would love to hear what he's gonna you know, do in a year or two. It's gonna sound great.
If your listening stand folds, just a really quick and easy kind of thing I do with compressors to kind of get things sounding really good really fast. If you drop a compressor on your drum track or your drum tracks, and if you set the ratio, I use the ratio about 4:1. There's a formula you can use that's really easy to calculate what you should set your attack and release to, and that's 60,000 divided by your beats per minute. And that formula gives you your quarter note in milliseconds. And with that value, so let's say you do 60 beats per minute and you do 60,000 divided by 60, well, you're going to get 1,000. So 1,000 milliseconds, or 1 second, is a quarter note at 60 beats per minute. You can divide that number to get the 8th note, the 16th note, the 32nd note, the 64th, or you can multiply it to get the half note, the whole note, and so forth. And so if you set your attack time to somewhere between 50 to 100 milliseconds and do the same thing on your release time, using that formula with your session, with your BPM, and then you put your threshold kind of like just like past, like maybe like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 decibels past where the sound will peak, you'll notice it'll make a world of difference. That one compressor on your drum tracks, it's going to bring them up. It's going to make them a lot more just like present and in your face. And from there, if, for example, this was a creative choice, you can always color it. Like I make my drums sound like garbage all the time, but I like for them to be like I like for the levels to be a little bit more equal when I do, and that way it's like less ambiguous and a bit more in your face.
What you mean is you actually take garbage and record it and make it your drums, right?
I literally record garbage actually in my house and make it
Sample
into my
pack.
drums. Yeah, sample pack, boom.
Sample pack.
So
Okay.
before trailing off here into the next track, for anybody that's listening to this, that formula of 60,000 divided by your beats per minute, if you multiply it and go in the other way, so with 60 beats per minute as our example, you're going to end up with 2,000 milliseconds, 4,000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds, 4 seconds, then 8 seconds. You can use those ones for your like reverb times or delay times. And that way, when all of your reverbs, all of your delays, all of your times are in sync with your session, with the BPM, it opens a whole can of worms of groove that you did not know was possible. And that arguably most really, really good music that you listen to is doing something similar to that, where everything's in time. Trust me, and if anyone does that, reach out to me and show me, because I'd love to hear what you do with it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But actually, I'm just putting some light on. Actually, for those who might be interested in that, I've made OpenOffice table. I'm going to put the link so you can download it in the description of the podcast. So you just have to enter, like you have to download OpenOffice, it's free. And you have to enter, it's right. And you have to enter the BPM, and then it will give you, the times for, 16th, 8th note, and a few other things that I've been using. But yeah, it works great, and I love it. So.
Cool. So rant over. On to the next track. We've got, the artist is Centipede, and the track is Sleep on Me, but it's all the words are kind of smashed together. So Slip on Me or Sleep on Me, probably Sleep on Me, from the album Earth Vibes. So let's hit it. And I'm going to turn this one down a little bit. Ooh. Oh, wow, that was excellent.
Very nice.
Do you guys want to go first? I have a lot that I want to say about it already, so.
Yeah, Alfonso, you go first. I have a lot too, actually.
Yeah, man. I was well into that, man. Like that kind of sound, like is like what I always like try and like achieve. You know, we're just literally just playing around with the actual track, you know, and just like you never know where it's gonna go. It's just like, well, actually, here I fancy like making it like jump around, and all I just want to stop it, you know, like, and like, yeah, I love that, man. And it was slow, like really chill, in sound, and I love the percussion too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way it starts, first of all, the white noise, and the whole track playing on the white noise almost as like a percussion element in the time and space that it occupies, and how it almost overrides everything. You know,
Yeah.
like when the white noise comes in, everything shuts off for a rhythmic period of time and then drops back into the track. All of those little glitchy edits, I don't know, well, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but my face, I could not resist. Like a couple times, I was like, oh, like there was one near there. It was just like a boop, 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 boop. It was like something like, you know, like almost like a step down in pitch. That was really fast, and all of those little glitchy effects. I can see the session in front of me and how it was that it was like chopped up or manipulated, and all of those little transitions. I love it. Yeah, I love that kind of chopping and glitchiness, and I also really love the almost like jingle bells in the background. That like,
Yeah.
because the whole song is like a lot of the rhythm exists in the high frequency like range, like upper mid and high frequency range. So like it like really it's almost got this locomotive feel, and it's like specifically like mid-high high frequency, like a chugging, you know.
Yeah.
So it really pumps the groove.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I really like this song. I really like the glitchiness of it. And I've wanted to do stuff like that for a long time. And there's one way to do it, is in, you know, in DAW, Ableton, Fruity Loops, and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but Mackenzie probably does. I would kind of bet this was made either, and I think it was a SP404, because you have like the DJ effects looper. It's an effect that does exactly that, and possibly a Chaos Pad, because they both kind of have similar effects, especially like the one like this one going down. You can do it with both. It's kind of easier to do with the Chaos Pad, but how he was doing it throughout the song, I would say 4/4, but then it could be Ableton and stuff. But it actually gave me an idea, and many people might do this already, like to actually make a full track, like with all the machines and stuff, and then have it sampled within the 4/4 and while playing using the effects. So maybe that's what they did. I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's definitely how you get it done. So, Alfonso, if you're wondering, how you can get it done. As before, for chaos pad, you have like easy button to do exactly that. Like, I'm pretty sure it's 4/4 on this track. So,
Um,
yeah. And the track, like, it's a perfect example. It was a very simple loop, very short. The track wasn't that long, but there was always something happening. So in contrast with the track we had before, when it was the opposite. And then you were like, oh, when's the next part? Oh, now's the next part. And now everything's happened, like with the white noise and the vinyl crackle at some point. Yeah, very eventful. Maybe like it's a style thing, probably. I would say maybe a little bit too much glitchiness, and if that's the style of composer producer, I'm fine. But I would prefer like more of the music and less of the glitch. But I've been guilty of this also. So fun. So
I can see how it was done it could be done on the 404. I can see how it would be done in Ableton. And Alfonso, you use FL, right?
Yeah.
I know on FL, gross beat is really good for a lot of those glitchy things. There's always manual ways to do it, but gross beat is just like a fully loaded, like make your sound choppy and glitchy and sounds like it's on, like a turntable being scratched or whatever. Like it's kind of loaded with those types of effects. And in FL specifically, if you create automation clips with different gross beats, you can have like, let's say 4, 5, 6 different gross beats and create different automation clips in your session for it, and then kind of just like patch them in and out. So let's say you have one loop, it's like whatever, 4 bars, and you have it happening 4 times, for example. You have, let's say, an on-off switch for your gross beat, different gross beats for each 4 bars, and then you can even fade them in within the session view there too, and that'll kind of like create that glitchy effect. I mean, relying on gross beat and its capacities as a plugin to do that for you. To do that stuff manually in FL, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, you could do that manually in FL for sure, man. But yeah, it would be handy if there was a patch.
I've tried and failed.
Yeah.
It's just so easy. Like you have like on the 4/4, you have like one button that sets the speed. Like you have three knobs, right? So you have the knob on the right, that's on off for the repeat. The knob on the left, it's the rate of the repeat. So if you speed it up, it's going to be, and if you slow it down, it's going to be, And
Yeah.
in the middle, you have the play speed. So you can do like a turntable stop effect, like, and you can do slight reverse. So it's in real time. So it sounds reversed, but it's not really. But yeah, you can do.
Oh, your mic cut off there a little bit. I can't hear you anymore. Yeah. Still can't hear you. Alfonso, can you hear him? Is it me or?
No, I can't hear him.
Yeah, still nothing. I'll let you know when it starts coming through again, though. But yeah, on your point, what's cool about this particular track is that it's using these specific techniques, and I specifically know 3, 4 ways just off the top of my head that all of these different things can be achieved. So it's kind of cool that no matter what your workflow is, hardware, software, this DAW, that DAW, you can achieve that result through one means or another. So, is your mic back up, Emmanuel? No worries. Cool. So welcome back after some brief technical difficulties, but we're still here. We're still stoked. Let's keep it popping.
All right. So next up.
Next up, we have Brainweight, who is a dude named Caleb, who lives in Nashville, part of the collective now. The track is called Chai Latte from his EP Omniferious, I think, actually. So let's get in it. He also has another track that came out recently called Mylar Blanket. I suggest if you're listening to this to check it out. Really cool play on rhythm in that one. But let's hit it.
was nice.
Wow. Man, that hit the spot. That felt like a chai latte, you know? It really did.
Very smooth.
Yeah, Caleb is a drummer, I think, first before anything else. And it's easy to tell listening to this track, you know? I love listening to beats by like drummers who are people who play drums primarily because um, it bounces, the drums in this like just like carry perfectly across the whole track, you know what I mean? I also really liked the bit reduced like chorus at the end there. Like once the drums pull out, there's like a slightly crispy, crunchy, bit reduced like.
I didn't notice actually.
It was nice, yeah. Just the right amount of like crusty, you know. Like I could see him turn the knob up just to the point where you could like feel it, but not to the point where it's like saying like I'm bit reduced, like fuck you. You know? Yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Alfonso, you wanted to go?
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, I was like down for that, man, all day. Just, like, I loved the intro and like I loved the percussion in the intro. It just felt like, just like time ticking away. Essentially, like I was like into that. It was chill, man. And then that like the beat, like Mackenzie said, like you could like hear there's something special in that, man. There's a lot of movement in there. I really enjoyed like the snare and like the variation going on there too. Like, yeah, and like brass all there.
I mean, so first off, like the saxophone, it's very difficult to have a saxophone in a track and not having it sound cheesy, but it's even harder to have it sound cheesy and sound amazing at the same time. And I think that's, you know, you had this kind of porn flick kind of quality to the, you know, but it was so spot on. So as I was listening to the track, I was thinking, this thing is down like perfect. Like the transitions are like as good as you can make them.
True.
And at the end of the track, I would say if I have something like I was kind of expecting some kind of an event at some point, and maybe it was very subtle, as you were saying, Mackenzie, at the end with the crunchy. I would have liked, but I think it's more a matter of taste. Something more dramatic at some point, you know. Even like some of the transitions were almost there, but still kind of, you know, it was kind of, I don't want to say flat because it wasn't flat at all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preferred a little bit, you know, some kind of glitch, some kind of cut, some kind of, you know, kind of event.
Yeah.
You know, because it's very well put together, and it's very well put together. Like there's no, like you're like, oh, this transition, this thing is, this element is very good, but it's all together. And I like it when there's something happening that's unexpected, that's different, you know.
This track, sorry to cut you off. I feel like this track, it's one of those tracks that could possibly sit in an album as like literally like a transition track from one to another because of the way that it's consistent in its mix and delivery of the song throughout the whole track. You know what I mean? Like it's more like a song, you know, more like an actual performance of a song in that sense than it is. I mean, it's both a beat and a song in that sense. Like it's if you're seeing a band play live, the drummer is probably not like changing the texture of it as much, or maybe there's like it's more of like a like from point A to point B to point C to whatever, you know, as opposed to like in like what we do where it's like there's like specifically like we put little samples and we chop it up and we do like more of a like I guess a digital beat. This is a blend between both like a band performance and like an analog like real feel of like artists as well as this digital thing. So I completely agree with you entirely actually. Like I crave those little transitions, you know, but
me too.
But it's still hits. It still hits the spot.
I don't do these all the time either, so it's just
totally
so it doesn't really matter. In the end, it's a great track. extremely masterfully put together. Like
Word.
I think we can all agree on that. It's pretty masterful. I think that's the right word.
Last thing, the bass line. It was spot on. I feel like we have to pay homage to the bass line in this one.
Yeah, most definitely.
Word. All right. So next track.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Next up, we've got.
Yeah. Try.
I think it's probably Urchin.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah.
But it's URCHN, and the track is called Calibrate. So.
All right.
Let's hit it.
Oh, talk about a song.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? That was a banger, first and foremost. I feel like the only thing for me is that I was dying to hear like a really dank bass line. Like there was just like if there was like someone just like and like following the kick but like doing like little like things in between it, you know. I feel like it would have like bopped in like a way that, you know, like otherwise couldn't be achieved. But I will say that the beat itself outside of that was just spot on. I feel like everything was spot on, perfect. There was one point there was it sounded like a shaker, but it sounded more like brushing teeth. You know, like if you think about it realistically, brushing your teeth with like a like high gain on a microphone on your mouth will capture like a really specific like right. If you think about it realistically, next step, dude, I could do it for this
music with that. I mean, because I sing with while brushing my teeth, like you know.
Yeah, exactly. Man. So there was that came in at one point. That was really sick. But yeah, the sine wave bass and the like really long whole notes just got exhausting really quickly. It was almost like it didn't feel quite like an 808, but it felt more like I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with it.
Alfonso?
No, I agree, man. Like I like especially like when those strings came in, like that was when I knew like yeah, I'm kind of down with this, you know, like the beat, like all day, I'm all about those like big lazy kind of beats, you know, that just plod. but yeah, the bass like 100%, man. Like I think like I just like really fancy like a big fat like sub bass just like walking about, you know, back there just to give it
Yeah.
a bit of movement because to me like that just is what that beat like deserves. Like you know,
Exactly.
that was 100% like. But yeah, man, I dig it. Though, you know?
So I think like there's one thing I really liked within the beat, and it's gonna be like what I'm gonna say is gonna be very different than what you guys were saying actually. There's one thing I really liked in the beat. Almost everything sounded quite a little bit out of tune, and I really like that. And when it came to the bass, I can totally understand like why it could kind of be off-putting. But to me, it was kind of, I don't know, if you put a bass like this and you carry it, takes balls. You know,
Does.
like it felt almost like a statement because everything was so cute and gentle, and then you have the bass, like, you know. So it didn't bother me as much, or rather, I embraced the bother, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
I
getcha.
can get behind it, you know, and because when you think about it, you like it's what kind of bass exactly do you want to put on a track like that? So, because you can probably do something, you know, that would be better and more appropriate, but then it wouldn't be as much of a statement. It would be just more kind of mundane. I don't know if it was on purpose or not.
Yeah, that's something you'd have to ask the artist, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, and all that being said, you know, music is infinite in every direction, and any suggestion you or I could make about someone's music or like the way we feel about it is one of the interpretations of how it could be, you know, of what it
Yeah.
could become.
Oh yeah, we're not like music wizards or you know judge. Oh, this is bad.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And I find like as well, like that's why I love lo-fi, you know, and because you don't ever know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like my approach is very much sometimes like, oh man, I don't know if I should put this in here because, and it's just like, no, just get it out of your head, man. If it feels natural and like that's your choice, like lo-fi, man, it's like for me is about just like expression and just like, no, I'm gonna make music I want to hear, you know, and I don't really
Yeah.
give a
Yeah.
shit. You know?
No, dude, totally, 100%.
Mackenzie, oh, nice background.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, now that I'm sitting here, I'm like, why don't I use this for like video content?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sun rays and the toilets.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't see the toilet. Just no. But yeah, sometimes we have like Skype chats and we
Yeah.
I think I saw the toilet. First,
everybody has one.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
had a
I saw it.
question just to Mackenzie. Can you hear Alfonso correctly? Because I can kind of hear him. I can get what he's saying, but I was wondering if it's going to be all right in the video. Can you hear him correctly?
Can you say something, Alfonso?
Hey,
Could you say like, yeah, like more of a sentence,
Something
I guess.
longer?
Yeah.
yeah, can you hear me? I like the toilet.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty okay. I think it'll be good.
All right.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little bit like almost like there's a filter where there's much less low end frequencies and there's like a little spike somewhere at like a random spot. But technically speaking, I mean, we're sound engineers. I could totally just edit that out of the video afterwards and make
All
it
right.
cleaner. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, you are sound engineer.
You guys are sound engineers.
I'm
You're
more
just,
like a sound architect.
well, that's a sound engineer, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know what I do.
True.
Yeah, whatever. I like sound. So
Yeah.
anyway, so what's the next? Oh, it's something with DXADPOXT. What? How do you say that? D. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm convinced that the X's are irrelevant and that it's actually dad pot. Like it's maybe like it's,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, or like
yeah.
dead post or something, you know, like it's kind of
Could
like,
be dad pot. That like dad, like your father, and pot, like weed.
Yeah.
Kids don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't. Like,
And the track is called Thousand Planets. So this is Dead Pot, Dad Pot, Dead Post, and the track is called Thousand Planets.
I'm gonna
You
go
guys,
with that part.
all right, hit us up, Dad Pot. Let us know, please.
I call him the first penis.
No.
Presidential. This penis presidential.
Damn, I don't even know what to say. She's so damn beautiful. But she could be a real bitch too. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000. Love on 1,000. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000. Love on 1,000. I'm on a wave. I'm on a wave. She's on a wave. She's on a wave. I'm on a wave. I'm on a wave. She's on a wave. She's on a wave. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000 planets. Love on 1,000. Love on 1,000. She on a wave. I'm on a wave.
Love you, love you, love you.
Yeah.
Love on 1,000 planets.
Yeah, this track's sick, man. Oh, dude.
Oh, hang on, it's not real planets. It's
Love you, love you, love you, love you.
Word.
not really a planet. Oh,
I'm on a wave.
check this out. Uh-oh.
She's on a wave.
So good.
She's on a wave. I'm on a wave. I'm on a wave. I'm on a wave. She's on a wave.
That bass, come on.
I'm just thinking about that bass just then, thinking about like, what's the word for that? Like, like how do I feel about that, man? Yeah.
Oh, come on. Like the voice is perfect. Like it's always evolving. Like the loop remains the same, but you have all these small kind of cuts and whatnot
Yeah.
within them. Then you have the variation in the voice. At first time you hear like, oh, snare, like, and they use this one like quite a few times. So that part, yeah, you got my thumbs up for sure.
I my audio cut out for the entire duration of everything that you said, and I guess you guys probably couldn't tell, but on my side, my internet connection was unstable and it kind of like dropped out.
All right,
So
want me to go again?
I mean, if you want, it's captured. Oh wait, it's not captured because it's on my side. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you will have to say it again.
So yeah, so I'm just gonna start over. All right, so the bass line, perfect, like double bass kind of. So it's funny because almost like not all the songs so far, they sound kind of band-y, you know. And this was the same, like the Verdi sound was perfect, maybe mixed with Rhodes, double bass, the drums. I really love, I was saying I really love the small cuts just on the one or just after the one, between the one and the two.
Mhm.
Boom, you know?
Yeah.
They use this a lot, and it's always like it's very simple loop. And I was looking at the time, I was like, I hope this doesn't end too quickly. It's almost 4 minutes. It seemed like 2.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah. It was a longer one for sure.
Yeah, but didn't feel long at all. So yeah. Yeah. Mackenzie.
I loved everything about this track. You know, whenever I hear like a track that's really good as an instrumental with someone doing something really sick vocally on top, like my appreciation for this just gets higher and higher every single day. Like, you know, it's one thing to have a really nice like bopping track, and it's a whole other thing to like put vocals on that. And yeah, I feel like my like the whole so tastefully, yeah. The instrumental, like as you could visibly tell when I was listening to the track, had me moving. Right? It's
mean face and everything.
Mean face, just like, oh yeah, this is nasty. Like this is good. It bounces, you know. The only thing I have to say is that the vocals were mixed in a way into the track that I think the vocals could have just been placed a little bit better in the mix. It's a little bit like nasally or a little bit too present or too dry and too like in the center. Like it's almost like piercingly in the center in a way, in this like slightly nasally way, which for me was a little bit distracting. But that's like just like a little EQ adjustment, and you can tweak that. But also,
I didn't notice it though.
Yeah, but also I feel like in general in the mix, like some stereo displacement on the voice could be cool. In that you have like a slight delay, like a really small delay on your voice, and then you place that somewhere else, or you place maybe 2 alternates somewhere else. I know that the Sound Toys Micro Shift is good for this specifically. It really kind of does that for you. So some sort of displacement to make it less in the center is what I'm really getting at. Because when it's so in the center and in your face, it unfortunately changes the role from the way I see it. It changes the role from you're someone like with a thing that you want to say to like you're someone like in someone's face saying something. And so right now it's kind of a bit more like I'm saying something to you, but you want it to be more like, hey, hear my message as I say it in this cool way, and that's your vocal style. You know, you ride on that vocal style, and I find
you
that
can
like
compose with vocals also the same way you do with instruments and panning and everything and the effects. Like many people like don't do that enough, I feel, and it didn't bother me though.
No, I just feel like it was a spot in the mix that could have been like a bit more like in your face and like hit you, but it was still like musically perfect. The song was musically excellent, like top to bottom the composition was perfect.
And the bottom, like the bass, I know, like come on.
Yeah, I was well into that bass, man.
Yeah,
really cool. Like the whole thing, man. Like I think I've actually heard that track before. And yeah, that dude, like he reminds me of like, especially like the chorus reminds me of like Lil Peep. I don't know if he's not like that, but like
it kind of felt like a little bit like kind of like I don't know, like modern like mumble rap. It wasn't mumble rap, but like the same vocal line over and over again, small variations.
Yeah.
You know? I like that. It's interesting. It's engaging in a way, you know.
Yeah, it's like lazy in just the right tasteful way, and the vibe is also really good lyrically. You know, it's cool. Also, I just randomly started bringing these things up, but as like a general content idea, having like collage materials prepared for the playlist while it's
Yeah.
playing. Like if I hold this here, it's like kind of like with this wall, kind of like a collage almost,
Yeah.
you know, and then like this, for example. So I was thinking maybe in the future, this is just a random like patterns idea, I guess, but
Yeah.
we
Why
could incorporate that into the videos. All right, next up we have what do we got here? What's up next?
Deviant.
Divian maybe. Again, hit us up. Diivien, and the track is Forest, spaced out with a period. Let's hit it. Love the album art on this one. If you guys see it right now, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, this hits.
Of course. Yeah.
Wow, that was objectively, I think, one of the best original pieces of music that I've heard in a long time. That is one of my favorite songs that I've heard in a long time, hands down.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect.
Exquisite. It's exquisite.
Yeah, that was it. Just to me, that just felt like so like organic, you know, and like yeah, like
Deep. It's
maybe that
definitely
person could have made that, you know, like that's how I feel. Like I'm well into that, man.
and
Yeah.
like and it was so simple, like 4-3-2-1, 4-3-2-3, no five. It was always kind of suspended, but always also going home each time. Like it's simple, like the kind of I felt there was a tempo change.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's next level for sure.
I feel like the vocals were mixed in such a unique and tasteful way. You know, like that first vocal line is it sounds like to me is two vocals, maybe three, like the main one, and then there's like a high, almost like one octave up, but like with all the high frequencies rolled off. So it's like it's the character of it, but it's not like the Alvin and the Chipmunks in your face sound, mixed with that mid one and maybe a low one. And then when it goes to that low, almost just like whispering voice, it's so ambiguous, but the way it sits in this like cloudy mix, the mix is like cloudy throughout the whole thing. You know, it's like but it's so fat at the same time in the way that it just like it's like
Enormous.
it
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I'm mega inspired by this track. Divian, if you listen to this, or we should just reach out to Divian in general. I feel I'd
Yeah.
love to reach out to Divian and
Yeah.
see what's up.
For sure.
Yeah, we need to
I
collaborate on
almost wanted-
something.
yeah.
What's that?
I almost want to listen to it again.
Yeah, shall we? Shall we give it
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
let's do it. Oh, one more thing I want to point out is pay attention for at some point there's like chimes, how they sit in the mix. They're so like distant and like it's just perfect. It's perfect.
All right, let's hear it again.
Oof. Wow, man.
Can I say something? Like, it's funny. Like this time, the first part felt like I was moving like kind of twice as fast, like trap beat almost.
Hmm.
And the second part was like
Yeah, heavier, like
kind of-
slower.
yeah, I don't know how come. I have no idea.
I'm sure if we like listen to it again, maybe it's the like relationship between the intro to the verse from the chorus to the verse, maybe, or something like that.
abstract. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to listen to this one again and try to figure it out. 'Cause
yeah,
it's-
absolutely.
and is there a tempo change? I'm not even sure.
I don't think there's a tempo change, honestly. I think it stays pretty consistent, but it's a little bit more ambiguous when there's that like low whispering voice.
Yeah.
But I love the lethargic energy of that vocal take. It's like it's so just like the person is clearly like like just like
Yeah.
just like very like carefree, but like loose and like with very minimal like deliberation in a way that makes it sound lethargic. And
It's like acting, but within music.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
vocal recording is acting within music, like literally.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah,
Okay.
also-
Yeah.
you-
Did you have something to say? Yeah.
I don't think so, man. I was just like well into that. Like for a second time too, man. It was so chill and 100%. Like I've saved that track.
Yeah. Word. All right. Next up, we've got a mile, 2 beats, all smashed together, and the track is called "Wake Up."
Wake up.
Is that a Yeah Boy sample?
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe.
Sick.
That was quite a journey.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was into that.
It was. I feel like it was very contemplative. You know, it was very
Yeah.
like introspective. I felt introspective while listening to it. You know,
Psychedelic even.
yeah, man.
I don't know what it was, but it had that quality, like to carry you somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And maybe it's yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, the way like the vocal were, just like sort of like weaving in and out, and just like meandering, you know, coming
Yeah.
back out at you, and it was like 100% just like following that on a journey, you know, and yeah, everything just happening around it, man. I was down with that.
yeah,
It like at first, like the first few bars, I was like, oh, this isn't as well mixed as the previous one, but then it didn't strike me again.
yeah. I felt like my initial thought was that the drums felt like flat in the mix, like they felt like very like not much velocity, sensitivity, and stuff. But then when I was
Yeah.
paying attention to the snare, I felt like the snare was almost like a trap sample, like a trap snare, like a you know, like one of those
Yeah.
like chunk snares that are just like
Yeah.
but filtered, big time filtered, and like reduced in a way that would be, I guess, more lo-fi. And then when I heard that, I switched my mindset from like like a hip hop beat in like lo-fi hip hop sense, and more like trap, like a trap beat, in terms of the dynamics for the drums. And then so I had this initial thought of like, oh, the drums are kind of in this way, and it could be more dynamic. And then I was like, actually, it kind of fits this other role that I hadn't identified when I first heard the drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it definitely had a kind of modern retro feel to it. Like the especially the vocals reminded me a few of the early to mid '90s kind of ethnic, modern ethnic compilation, like with synths and whatnot.
Hmm.
And then as you were mentioning, like the way the drums were laid out, it felt quite modern and you know, up to date. Kind of, I'm not sure exactly how to put it. Very pleasant, seriously pleasant. I really like
Yeah.
this track.
Word. Me too.
It's interesting that you say about like the 90s like feel, man, because it put me in mind of Underwater Love. I don't know if you remember that track, man. Like
What track?
Underwater Love, it's called. I can't remember.
I don't think I know that track.
It's so good, man. Like, but yeah, like just the like almost like yeah, kind of like the liquid kind of sound, you know, with like the vocals just trailing off and yeah, man, like
It's like the saxophone. It's very easy to do it so it sounds cheesy, but it didn't sound cheesy.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
sounded pretty nicely.
And it sat in the mix very well.
Yeah.
It's funny that like you actually said about the sax earlier as well, man. Like I've got a track my girlfriend increases that every time like the sax comes in at the end, like this sample, because yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
man, like it is cheesy, but
It sounds amazing.
yeah.
Like you have to
Mhm.
own it. You can like I love cheesy stuff. I love cheese. I'm French, you know. So I love cheesy stuff, but you really have to own it for it to sound.
Yeah.
It's not sometimes it's not easy, but yeah, lo-fi in general, there's a lot of cheese in lo-fi hip hop, like
Yeah.
251s and whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what makes it chill. It's like,
yeah.
you know, it's the cheese that makes
Well, they
it
used to
familiar.
call it
And
easy listening. Well, it wasn't the same thing, but what they used to call like easy listening.
yeah,
I feel like lo-fi kind of is a newer version of that kind of feeling. That's something that's, you know, easy to listen to, and easy to feel
Exactly, yeah.
to,
Yeah.
like elevator music.
Exactly.
I should do elevator music.
Yeah. We should do a
I like
mall
it.
soft. We should do a mall soft playlist review. I would love to actually, if you're down for maybe the next one, curate
Yeah.
a really specific, because Mallsoft, it talks about a whole other texture and sound, and
Yeah.
I'd love to go into that with you guys specifically, and
Sure.
to relate what we're doing here with these tracks with Mallsoft. It's like
I don't even
Mallsoft's
know
like
what you're talking about. Actually.
that's why I'm bringing it up
Yeah.
actually. It's essentially like elevator music and like lounge music, but imagine that like aesthetically you're inside a shopping mall that is completely abandoned and like overgrown with plants and animals or whatever, and somewhere off in the distance, somewhere in the mall, in a store, some sort of like almost like consumerist type music beat is happening, but you only hear like the reverb sound washed out from really, really far away. You know what I mean? Like
All right.
it's this style of music that takes a whole you have to be in that environment. That's why it's called mall soft, because it takes place in a mall, you know. But I'd love to in relation to like what we're doing with these tracks and like talking about the mix and talking about the beat and whatever, I'd love to go into it with just specifically Malsoft to show the correlation between like what they're doing in that genre and what people in lo-fi and this community are doing as well. So yeah,
All right.
I'm gonna get
I'm
some
down.
water and I'll be right back.
All right. So we should play more soft music.
Yeah, I'm gonna like look into this, man, because it sounds very like I'm well into it, especially right now.
Yeah, it's chill. I love doing these actually. Like it's and like I have listened to all the tracks of the playlist when I was curating it, but like the way we listen right now, we really listen.
Yeah.
It's like I'm hearing them for the first time again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're very
Yeah.
fun and
It is actually like listening to it like this in like a more like analytical way, you know, like it's actually
yeah.
quite interesting, like yeah.
And it's fun because I'm trying to give like I don't want to be too selective in a way like yeah or just bangers. But I
Yeah.
want to, obviously there are some producers, composers who kind of are, more experienced, more or less talented.
Yeah.
Who am I to say? But it's interesting to hear music from someone who maybe is talented but starting off, and
Yeah.
to say, all right, these are great ideas. You should work on them, because it's like as you same as you guys. Like I've been doing music for a long time, and you always have this kind of when you listen to someone else's music, you're like, oh, I could definitely do something like that. But most of the time, there's always something that you couldn't do. There's always something new. There's always that would present a challenge. But some of the tracks, you're pretty much like, oh, all right, I know what this guy did or what this person did.
Yeah.
And other tracks like Forest, it's more like you're listening as a listener, I would say, as someone who wouldn't be able to reproduce this easily, at least,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you're kind of all right. This guy is either or both more talented or more experienced than I am, more knowledgeable and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And some other tracks that I kind of pick is all right, I was there maybe 6 months ago, 6 years ago, who knows, and that's someone who's might be on the journey, on the beginning of the journey, and they have something that, as I curate the playlist, I say, I want to encourage this person,
Yeah.
and so like nobody has to feel bad, if we talk a little bit more on, all right, this could be done a little bit better, it's we all on a journey, we all on a different spot, within the journey, and like every music, like if you do it with your heart and soul, if this is what you want to do, this is the music you want to do, then it's gonna have some value, it's gonna have some quality, like people always say like yeah, it's all about music, is all about taste, but it's also like you can assess quality of the music, and you can kind of hear, sometimes it can be difficult to define, but you can hear the difference between quality music and music that was made just for the clicks or just for popularity's sake. So I want to encourage people who at least try to make genuine music. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a little bit of a tirade. Sorry.
No, man, it's all good.
Okay.
All
So
right.
next up,
Next
we
up,
have a few tracks. So I said I was going to make this one a little bit shorter, but I didn't ultimately.
that's all right.
That's all right.
Um,
So,
next up, we've got Aglow, AYGLO with a line through it. I don't know what that's referred to. I don't know if you guys do. And,
It's like Norwegian or Swedish or something like in Northern Europe.
okay. And we've got Lyra Marie, and this is Fallen in Love.
Right.
Promise me, your love will never fade. Promise me, heartbreak won't be our fate. Cause I've never been truly trusting those fake words and fake hopes. All I had was fake hopes. Trusting a bitch and I fall. Trust me, I tried them all. My heart is too tired to trying to fail to reach someone who won't leave my side when I'm down. Want me off my money. Too many times I've drowned, and all of them thought it was funny, yeah.
But losing your love is depressing. So falling in love is unfair.
Sick.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
pretty nice harmonically too. Like,
Yeah.
because then you kind of, yeah. I love what they did with the bass and the
Mhm.
harmony of the track, because you're in this very square, very kind of pop chord progression, and then it gets stuck on this one chord, one note, one bass note, and changes the whole color of the whole song, and then you get the rap coming in.
Yeah.
So it was very eventful. It was pretty nice, kind of trap also.
Mhm.
Got nothing bad to say about it.
No, it carried
Could
very
use
well.
more work, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I could use maybe a little bit more variation. There was already a lot of variation, but maybe rhythmically and with a sample and stuff, maybe a little bit more variation. But
Mhm.
overall, it was quite a solid track. Like I really got into it.
Me too, yeah. Another one of those tracks that I was pretty much just surrendered to for the whole duration, to such a point that I wasn't even really analyzing it as much as I was just like in it, you know.
Yeah,
But the dynamic between the two different styles of vocal and how it goes from like the really like hook oriented, like catchy, like female vocal line to the male vocal line where it's like more of a rap, and then back to that. Um, it hit the spot. The mix was great. The beat was fat. You know, it really was like present.
808. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really, I love hearing people doing vocal stuff on tracks like this. It's really fresh. It's really tasteful. I'm really excited about this influx of music that we're finding that is in this kind of vein. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like really feeling that as well. Like the female vocal specifically, like I could listen to that a lot, you know. And yeah, like the addition of the rap in there is cool, like to like break it up. But like ultimately for me, it was all about that. Like, it kind of got me in the feels a bit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've had this string of like 2 or 3 tracks that were kind of trap-ish. I like that actually. I didn't notice it, as I was saying before. Like as we record this podcast right now, I'm really listening to the songs and the track because as I'm curating it, I kind of go through quickly, and sometimes I listen to the song and then I listen to the whole playlist while doing something else to just check if everything flows. But as we record, like you guys, is the first time you've been hearing those tracks. But even for myself, it's the first time I'm really listening to these tracks. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sick. All right, next up, we've got Vitamin Dream, and this track is called Open Mind.
Nine, baby.
Love the name Vitamin Dream. Throwing that out there right now. Ooh, and the imagery here too.
that was a little bit different, right?
I am speechless. I'm without speech. There's nothing that I can say about that track because that track to me was a masterpiece. And if you want to know my opinion about this track, put on a pair of headphones and listen to it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I agree. This is another one. I've heard this before, man. Like this, I love this track, and it reminds me of sort of like 2000, 2002 Ministry of Sound, or like Euphoria, like chill, like calmer album. You know, like I love that man, so much. Gives me like more Chiba vibes. You know,
Mhm.
but yeah, 100% like unique and like yeah, really reflective. And, yeah, it's nice.
Reflective for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ah, it's pretty great track. Like on so many levels, it's great. However, I feel like it's to me it was missing one thing, and because it's pretty much like a song again,
Mhm.
you know. It was missing not a chorus because it felt like it didn't need any, or maybe everything was some kind of a chorus. You know, it was kind of this in between. But I would have loved like to have a bridge, something like harmonically, just something that would give a different tone. Say, if I remember right, it was 1 and 4 major. Maybe go to the relative minor, like
Yeah. Add some tension in
1,
there.
5, and then 3 with the dominant 7. Like if it's in C, I don't know which key. Say it was C major, F major. So maybe go to A minor, um, then go to E dominant 7, and maybe why not something like 2-5-1? You know, go back to the 1, or 2-4, and then 4 like F major 7, but with a minor third, like F minor third major 7, to have
Mhm.
this kind of more dramatic. So maybe to try something like that in this kind of chord progression, just to bring in something at some point. I think it would have been, if you do it as tastefully as the rest, I think it could have. Like, I'm not really one to say, oh, you should add this, but in this case, why
Yeah, yeah,
not?
yeah.
I
No, for
would have.
sure. And this is like open opinion 100%,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, no, I feel where you're coming from. I feel like this track like
just to open up,
yeah, this track hit me in every spot creatively that I like, almost every spot creatively that I like. Like I've been listening to my own like new album a lot over and over again, and listening to this track, I'm like, man, this track is so in harmony with what I am doing right now with my music,
yeah,
that I listening to it, it was only as if it was like, it felt like an extension of what it is that I do for me, like a secret track by like a neighboring person that makes music that's
yeah,
very close to what it is that I do. And that's why for me it's just like I was just like, whoa, like what is going on with this track? All of the sounds, like the reverb, the mix, the voice, and how
tempo.
the delay on the voice that went back and forth, the little sounds that were happening, like there were some staccato-y sounds, and I just
Yeah,
love the use of staccato-y sounds as like a positive, like cheerful, like melody. The almost like I don't want to say video game because it wasn't video gamey per se, but it was like kind of like these synthy sounds happening in the like
yeah,
percussion as well. There were just like on every level of depth for me, it was just a full journey, and um, I didn't even have time to consider the structure so much as like I just like was riding the high of that track.
yeah.
Vitamin Dream, I'm going to reach out to you for sure. We're going to have a conversation, and if you watch this, here's me telling you in advance.
Yeah, I feel like it was very like comforting track, very stable, and that's a matter of taste. I would have loved to have at that one point this little bit more drama that would open up, like, oh, like you kind of easing into the song, and oh, it's very comfortable, and then oh, now we're in minor, you know, and
Hmm.
then you have this two chords, like A minor. Say if it's in C, you have this A minor and an E dominant 7 that would bring everything into A minor for a moment, and then you go back to the 2-5-1 or something like that, you know, and you go back into this comforting place, and just something happened,
Hmm.
something different, something like a drama, some kind of drama, and it's a matter of taste, because I can definitely relate to what you're saying, as
For
it's
sure.
soothing, comfortable, and just beautiful place. And I love
Yeah.
the tempo, almost like, you know, 115, 120-ish, kind of almost house music, like this old school, like lounge, house music lounge kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I really loved. It's very different.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's so fully done.
Yeah.
Oh, next up, so we have, I did put two tracks from the same person, because the one I really wanted to put was the first one, and it's only 56 seconds. And then so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put another one, a longer one, you know, because 56 seconds, it's very specific, kind of almost interlude kind of
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a full-on track from this person also. So
Cool. Do you want to
should we
listen to them
listen?
back to back?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. I'm not sure. No, let's listen to one after the other. One, then we talk a little bit about the one, and then the other one.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds
It's
good.
gonna be more interesting.
Cool. So this track is Gin and Chronic, and Chronic is spelled with a 0 in place of the O, and the track is called Music Box. Man,
Yeah.
the cardboard box snare. It. Sorry, Alfonso, were you gonna say something?
No, man, I was just reacting.
Yeah, yeah,
Carry
yeah.
on.
Yeah, man. The immediately it drops into the just like tightest mix beat, the kick and the snare. The snare, it feels like literally like you drop something on a cardboard box and it went like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those like snares, and I love those snares, and it's like perfectly muffled. The melody does feel like a music box a little bit, you know. It's like very like ba, 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 you know, it's very like I was saying about piano and Glock.
Yeah.
It has that like, you know, music box Glock sound of like whatever. Um, Perfect. Yeah, I love the combination of like some sort of foundational like thing that's happening, whether that be like a piano loop or something, whatever the main melody or like thing that continues across the track, you know, and the combination of that with one extra like lead line on top of it, you know, one extra little like thing that's happening on it, tells a story, and with a perfect mix on the drums, you don't need more than that. You know, you've got your sample, you've got your drums, you've got your lead melody. The mix is great. 50 seconds, boom, you're,
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate it a lot, this track.
Yeah, and it was, I like what I really liked in this track is it's both relaxed, very relaxed, and also very tense. You always have these little chords that come that don't have anything to do there. They're here just for one moment, one small moment, and then you just relax. It's like almost like an electroshock, but it's smooth enough and small enough that it's not really bothering you. It's kind of sets kind of a meta pace, you know, that's aside the rhythm, and I like it. I like it, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
So we jump on to the next one from Gene and Chronic. So that's a longer track. That's Rainy Afternoon. I think it's the next one in the album.
Perfect.
Actually. So yeah, Rainy Afternoon. Come on. That's ridiculous.
I really like that, man. I really like that. I didn't listen to like either of them like over like like an over analytical way, man, because like they're chill, man, and they're playful, and I love the drums, and like I love the drums are like really simple, and the variations are really simple, and the velocity doesn't really seem to change like that much. So like it just like puts me in like just sounds like I'm listening to a toy, but real chill, real playful, man, and it just it's relatable, man, and it feels familiar. I'm well into that.
Yeah, very well put. You know, it does feel like a toy. It does feel like innocent. It has that air of like playfulness, and you know the sweep halfway through there with the thunder was really, really nice. You know, it was really like I didn't expect the mix to go and open up in that way. Like it was so like the rain was so like, you know, whatever, but it's almost as if it just went and like expanded outward. I like the auto pan too on the lead there. Really, really tasteful. So many tasteful moments in there. Man, the kick and the snare. Again, what I said about the previous Gin and Chronic track. You know, you've got your bass thing, you've got a lead line going on, you've got your drums, and in this case, you've got texture, which is that's setting. You know, like it's one thing to write piano and write a lead melody and put drums on it, but there's setting. You know, you're in the rain. It's the textural dimension. I think is the most underrated or underused high value component of a composition, because when you add that layer of ambiance, you're telling a different story. You know, like the melody and the structure felt very like Napoleon Dynamite for me. Like it was very like, if you guys are familiar with that movie, yeah. So it felt very like, you know, almost like like 70s, like whatever that, but it also felt like very just like I could have been playing a video game, and that's the village music, you know, like it reminded me of Earthbound. You know, like the in Earthbound, all the villages have their own. There's like Onet or Onet, you know, Tucson, whatever, Forside, and they all have their own vibe based on the music that plays there. And this feels like one of those tracks. Like in one of the, let's say in one of the villages, you're walking around, you're doing stuff, and there's just this like innocent, like rainy day music playing that's like unassuming and just like, you know, background, but still like foreground, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm blown away because, well, people always ask in, you know, discussion groups, social media, oh, do I need to learn music theory? And like you can do stuff like that, like because the harmonies were beautiful, and you can do stuff like that without knowing music theory. But then you have to have a really really good ear and good taste, good culture to really understand what's happening. But it was I couldn't like. It was beautiful and simple because the melody was tying everything together, but at the same time, it was so complex and tastefully executed all the time. It was always evolving. I remember in the middle of the track, you have the 2/5 over 2/5/1. You can hear the 2/5/1, but then it doesn't go on the one; it goes somewhere else, and then it keeps going like in different places. And you have this melody coming back and tying everything together, and it's so like this is stuff like I want to listen and listen again and try to really understand what's going on harmonically, because it was so rich and tasteful, and it's so interesting to do something like that, because it's very difficult to do something that's as complex harmonically and make it so easy to listen to.
Yeah.
You know? It's very difficult, and you have to know, you know, a lot of music. You have to listen to a lot of music. You have it's definitely better if you know your way around, you know, music theory. It does help stuff like harmonic series and whatnot, like 5/1 and whatnot. So I love it. I love it. Like what's like Gin and Chronic. I do not regret putting you like twice on this playlist.
Yeah, no kidding, dude.
Good job.
Yeah.
Amazing music. So to go, oh, it was quite quick though.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Um,
Next up is Meadowcat, Bow Bribery, and Drunk Hope from the album Positive Contact. So let's hear it.
what a flip.
Come the fuck on.
Come the fuck out, exactly, dude.
Pardon my French.
But this one was really a bop. It had the bop factor. It had the like chill loop meditative factor that comes with the territory, and it also had that ambiance of texture, you know, like the whoa, 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 whoa. Those
Effects
sounds,
bit. Yeah.
yeah, they really hit the spot, and they really again give it character, you know. It's like it's a whole other character because of that one type of dimension. But the bass, where the bass sat in the mix, ugh, it just makes me, so many times I'm mixing my bass and I'm like, oh yeah, this is just such a good bass line. It has to be like the boop, 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 you know, like right in your face.
Yeah.
But this was like, so again, you know, it was like the bassist was in the background, like killing it, but like just enough for you to be like, oh, you know?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, face.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, come on. It's the thing with lo-fi is you can embrace, like you can go crazy, like the one before Chronic, kind of, I forgot the name, sorry.
Gin and Chronic.
Yeah, Gin and Chronic, yeah. You can really go out there and go into the, you know, pure jazz, you know, kind of crazy stuff. And then you can kind of write a fine line between the cheese and the tasteful progression, you know. Uh, it's very open in the end, and it's open to, like, I feel lo-fi, whether it's by the way it can be done, and all the, like, the way by saying lo-fi and chill, you really are not saying, well, you could be saying, you know, talking
Yeah.
about one specific kind of a beat, but if you just open it up just a little bit, you know, to composers and producers and artists who kind of touch into lo-fi a little bit, but also bring something from somewhere else, you know, and do it like the lo-fi way.
Hmm.
It's that, like, everybody who wants to make music can get into that. Whether, you know, I was talking before, whether you may be you know, very knowledgeable in music theory, or you just want to make some music and hit some pads, you know, get a very simple machine sampler, and you have the opportunity, because of how open it is, you have the
Yeah.
ability to come up with something that's true and genuine and engaging, as long as you do it like with your heart, with your soul, and you know, too often I see, you know, people talking about, oh, what can I do to get views, and how can I make money with music? And if you put all of this aside and just try to make the best music that you really feel, not something that sounds like something someone else does. It can be like, it's a good exercise to try to do like a popular kind of producer type beat, but ultimately what you want to do is just dig what's within you, and go with that, because
Yeah.
it's
Always.
gonna be so much better. It's gonna be so much meaningful to you. It's gonna be much more meaningful to other people. Maybe it's not gonna be as quick success, popular, and make money. And if that's what you're into, more power to you. But like, I'm a lot about the music. Yeah, like, just don't question, like, if you always do, but don't question what you do, and just do it. Surround yourself with people who appreciate it, you know, because sometimes you don't know if it's any good, you know, what you're doing. Like, I can definitely relate to that. And when people that I trust tell me, all right, that this is very good, and you should keep doing that, and you should work on that, you know, like you do, Mackenzie, or we talk music with Alfonso and Matthew, to surrender yourself with people who can appreciate what you do, but at the same time don't, you know, bullshit you into thinking you're more than you really are. Some people who can you can look up to and who can inspire you and help you improve and get better. You know, that's what it's all about. So yeah, or you can make money. I'm just gonna turn on the light because it's really getting dark. So yeah, went on a tirade again.
No, necessary. These are the golden moments in the podcast. I find is all these little moments where we break free from talking about someone's music and we talk about music. You know, and
Yeah,
what's great is that the podcast or the playlist facilitates the conversation to start for us to get to these points, like what you just made. You know, where you spill out this wisdom that has come from your own experiences in music and what music means to you and the relationship that you have with it. You know,
yeah.
I'd argue that these are the gems of the podcast.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alfonso, you are going to interject.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Sorry.
All right.
We're-
Yeah,
No, I
Alfonso.
agree. That track, I was well pleased on it. Like, I like, you know, it's the simplicity behind it, but just then
Yeah.
like with all the nice little accents, the vocal accents,
Like,
and
and
like the sort of downriser effects, and yeah,
and really going with the cliche, you know,
Mm.
owning it.
Mhm.
That's also like when it comes to what I like in lo-fi is I can indulge whatever cheese I want to do. I can do it, you know. It's cool and it's fine and nobody really cares. And there are people who can appreciate. There are people who just want to chill, and you can like it's very universal kind of music in a sense. Well,
Mhm.
it's music after all, you know.
It's yeah. I feel like it's relatable to many. You know, it hits the spot for many, and yeah, it sets the mood for so many different settings. You know, everybody has their own relationship with it, and um, what something I find that has been consistent between all of us, you know, at the collective so far is that we all have like this relationship with all of these different specific details. You know, about the tracks and
Yeah.
how they're created and how they're mixed, and um, exploring the unique variables that make one track different from another, and what makes one slap really hard and you know one hit the feels and all that stuff. It's
And
all
we
there.
like with the podcast, I feel we really have the opportunity to actually sit down and actually listen to some music. Because I
Yes.
don't like I realize now most of the time when I listen to music, I'm doing something else. So I hear music, but I don't really listen that often. Like really sit down and
Yeah.
listen. Mm, the podcast not only like we listen to something entirely new to us, but it's so you know like sometimes I tell myself uh, man, these people out there, they're so good. Like the general average level of people, ever since like music kind of became democratized, like computers became more powerful. Now you can make music on your bedroom. Like there's a name, like we call ourselves bedroom producers, you know? And you can make like this extremely high level, high quality, premium, just as good as anything you ever hear. You know, just and there are so many people out there with so much talent, so much taste and culture, and we get to listen to this like anytime. New music, high quality, stank face, banger, you know, it's for
Yeah.
free for yeah, we're not gonna get monetized anywhere, so for fucking free, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Man.
it's good.
No, it's just it's unlimited banger city is what we live in today. It's the world of unlimited bangers by
Yeah,
unlimitedly talented artists all over the world, and you know, like you said, I think you put it well. It's democratized now. Everybody's a part of it, and
yeah,
it doesn't matter. You know, like some of the best tracks I've ever heard in my life were like easy sessions with like minimal effort and minimal stuff in a bedroom by somebody, you know.
Just
And people
riding the
build,
wave.
yeah, and people build their
Yeah.
entire careers based off making music in their bedroom. You know, like they'll build a career for themselves sitting on their computer in their bedroom messing around.
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal. Yeah.
I love
It is. It truly is. It's blowing. And to go back on lo-fi, maybe one reason it can be so popular right now is because it touches to every genre of music, and it's all about chill, being chill. You know, like
It is.
sit down, lay back, put on the headphones. You know, uh,
You know what I find to be
do stuff like that.
you know
Yeah.
what I find to be a like unique advantage to where I live. Montreal is like an anomaly in the sense that it's that I feel like the chillness is just built into the attitude of all of the artists here. You know, like Montreal specifically is like a go to a park, get some beer, roll a couple joints, like get some snacks, and just chill and like hang out and enjoy life, chilling. You know, Montreal, the culture is chill, and so when when I walk through the streets of the city and I live my life as an everyday Montrealer, um, I feel that same chillness. And so it does bleed its way into the music itself. You know, and I find that a lot of Montreal artists that I know, it's the same way. You know, I listen to their music and I'm like, man, this has that air, that spirit of just like so chill, so like laid back. And you can see in the way that people carry themselves too, you know, like, so
Yeah.
I
it's,
find the same here, man. Like in Norwich, is exactly that. Like it's the most chill place I've ever lived.
yeah, dude,
Um,
exactly.
It's so nice. Like, yeah, it's just a like bubble when you kind of can just forget what's going on everywhere else. You know, when it's just like,
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's hit this last track. I think we're over the 2 hour mark here for the podcast. So
Are we? That's
I think so.
possible. That's good though.
Um,
A couple hours, I think.
oh yeah, yeah. If you've made it this far into the podcast, hey, what's up? Hit us up. Just hit us up just to let us know that you made it this far in the podcast. To know so that we know if anybody's listened this far. But
Oh, maybe yeah. Leave a comment if you made it this far. We will
yeah.
reply you.
All right. Next up, we've got Jade Wii, and that's Wii like the Nintendo console, WII. And the track is called Berries to close off the third installment, Beyond Lo-Fi.
And that's a song.
This one's for my friends. Oh wait, I have no friends. No one's really down anymore. Wasting all their time, worried about a like. Rather be finding new trails on my bike. Cause it's simple to let this day go to waste. So many berries you could taste, but your phone's glued to your face. In the morning you wake up like a zombie, pick it up. You desperately need to know if anybody gave a fuck. This one's for my bros. Oh wait, I got no bros. No one writes to the end anymore. If some shit were to go down, I bet I would look around and not a soul to be found. Not a soul to be found. This one's for my friends.
Wow. What a banger. Again, that track was the epitome of that energy I was talking about Montreal 2 seconds before. It literally that like, let's chill and whatever, but it also has this like lethargic energy. Um, the beat, everything in the instrumental, the vocals were amazing. The place that the vocals sat in the mix was like not ideal. The intention and the delivery of everything was fantastic, and the composition I feel like was also fantastic. I love the layered snares, especially. But yeah, I feel like the vocals have like could have had a much more specific spot in the mix, or maybe I would have even been down to hear like really really crisp, clean vocals on this one. Like the vocal line was amazing. Um, I just feel
It
like
is.
there's like a filter on it that is could have been adjusted to really like hit you in the face, because this track is a banger, objectively. Like
Yeah.
I think it's straight up just a banger. The
Almost a reggae vibe.
Yeah, it has this very lazy behind the beat.
Yeah. It's so. So I don't know if you know who Jade Wee is. Um, she's kind of a. So she has this YouTube channel that's called Doorless Jamming, and I don't know if she recorded this without a DAW. It is possible because it's all about she's reviewing gears and technique to compose and create music without a um, able
digital
tone.
audio
Yeah.
workstation.
Oh yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
looking for. So I'm pretty sure like it was all composed like without a computer. It was probably maybe even recorded. So she has this amazing channel. There's also a YouTube Facebook group that's called Dawless DAWLESS jamming, jamming without the G. So you can go there and check what she's doing. And she recently kind of separated what she was doing like as a musician from what she was doing as a YouTuber. She's a lot into lo-fi hip hop, but not only. She uses like modular synth, stuff like that, analog synth. She's this amazing, full of energy, and she has such an amazing, unique voice. Going back to the track, and it's genuine.
Yeah.
It might not be mixed, to perfection, but it's what I was talking about before. It feels so true and so like she opens up and let you into her world and it's magical and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt that like sort of like the glitches on the track just felt like another like sort of uncomfortable manifestation of what you were saying. That was,
Yeah.
like it all felt connected. I don't mean that in like a negative, like uncomfortable way, but
Yeah, I know
like
what you
yeah,
mean.
like you're being like let in, like you said. No, yeah,
it's
that was
it's
cool.
it's definitely not the kind of vibe from it's different from the up tempo one we had a few before. So what I really like about this song actually is you have the chill aspect, but you also have a lot of drama and sadness. You know, it's kind of almost kind of resigned. All right, let's keep grinding. Let's make it. And she puts so much effort into what she does, and she has some recognition, and that's amazing. Like she has this amazing YouTube channel, and I think she's way underrated. She's up there with the best of them, and I wish, like, I really wanted to give her a shout out because I don't know her personally. We're not, linked in any way. Like, I have her in my friend list, maybe, but we're not. We haven't really, So, but I just wanted to give a shout out. Check what she does. Sorry, Dolis Jamin, the Facebook group, the YouTube channel, and if you click on the Spotify playlist, you have the link to her Spotify page. So yeah, that was the last track.
Ah,
It was
it's been a
great.
journey. It's always a journey, man.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Cool.
It's
So
exhausting though.
it is, yeah. It's also brutally hot here right now. Like it's like
Yeah,
30
here too.
degrees. But that was fantastic. To anybody that's listening, whether you be one of the artists in the playlist or somebody that's discovering us, um, as we always say, hit us up. We're just musicians collaborating, and it's not a closed wall system. We're very transparent, we're very open. Reach out to us if you want to be in the podcast, you want to talk, you want to show us some music, you want to collaborate, you want to whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to be involved, hit us up. We'll check out your music. We'll do what we got to do, and we'll carry the conversation from there.
Yeah, and check out, like, we have this we have a few releases going on. Like last week, Matthew Jamison's released this amazing mini album. Like, he calls it an album. It's very short. Like, I've made tracks that are longer than his whole album, but so such an intense piece of music, very groovy and laid back. So the name of the album is Sober. You can check him out on. We have a Patterns artist playlist. You can check that out. You have the website patterns, patterns.ooo. We have the sample pack coming up in a few days. Alfonso, I think you released an album or an EP recently, didn't you?
So what have I released recently? I've got Master City 808 is out now.
All right.
And also, obviously my favorite sound is.
Yeah. We should have touched upon this earlier. So sorry, I don't know if you were still talking. It kind of like cut out a little bit.
Yeah, man.
We should have touched upon this earlier, but to anybody that checked out the second podcast, Alfonso did have a track in the second podcast called "My Favorite Sound," and it's phenomenal. Check out his music. This is the man behind the music.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
There's Spotify. There's a few bits on there, but it's on the way. There's stuff about if you want to check.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to give a shout out real quick. We didn't discuss this earlier, but to my son, he's making this funny T-shirt, like Cobra T-shirt. He's 18. He just turned 18, and he wants to get into design. And he has a T-shirt website, so you can check it out. I'm gonna put the link in the description if you guys are okay.
Oh, dude, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you can
cool.
And yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably forgetting something. Oh yeah, Matthew. I wanted to say about Matthew Jamison. So he has this album out. Also, if you are looking for someone who's amazing at playing bass, he offers his services as a bass player. He can record a really good quality, amazing bass sound. And if you need a bass track on your song, just hit him up. Again, the link will be in the description. He's an amazing person to work with. And
one more quick announcement as well.
Oh, yeah.
The Lisa album's being released on July 10th.
Yeah.
So right now it's July 1st. So we've got 9 days, and it's going to be Friday of next week. It's like a 22 minute, something like that, EP, some lo-fi hip hop, a very dynamic, very you'll check it out. Check it out. Yeah. It'll be good. It's great.
It's great music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Like, share with your friends and listen again and again, and share the playlists. We're looking to grow the collective, so hit us up if you want to join in.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So on to the next time. So it's going to be next week. And yeah, 2 podcasts. So episode 2 is going to get released as we record in a few hours, and then this one is going to be released right next to it. So make sure you check out episode 2 also, and like, comment, subscribe, share, blah 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 blah. And I don't know how to close. So
thank you for listening to several hours of us talking about music. It's amazing to have the opportunity to have this kind of a playlist curated where we get to listen to a variety of different very talented producers and musicians and artists of all kinds. So if you've gotten this far, thank you for listening. Hit us up, and until next time,
Peace out.
peace out.